I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and this is Quotes and Quips. Today, words of wisdom from an anonymous source. Quotes and Quips is brought to you by my website, FletcherRhoden.com. That's where you can find the links to my author's page on Amazon. That's where you can buy my books in paperback or for Kindle or in audiobook format. There's also a link to my Spotify artist page where you can download my music in all its various subgenres. I have a 4-album set from last year, 2024, called Quadrilogy, and a new album for 2025 called I'm Possible. Now you can download that from any of your favorite websites all over the internet, but at my website, FletcherRhoden.com, there's free music that you can get only there and other fun stuff, so check it out. Okay, well, this quote comes to us from an anonymous source, as they do occasionally on this show. And it comes to us basically in the form of a writer's tip. But it has widespread applicability that we'll examine. The quote is this: "In the particular lay the universal." In the particular lay the universal. Well, what does that mean? One would think that they're opposites. Particular, that's a small thing, one individual thing, different from the others. Universal, that's one thing encompassing all others. It's universal. The particular would seem to be the opposite of the universal. And yet, in the particular lay the universal. How can this be? Really, it'd be easier to say that in the universe lay the particular, because that's where you find the particular. It's where you find everything. Every particular is found one place, the universe. That's why they call it the universe, right? Well, ish. So let's talk about this. In writing, I mentioned that it's a writing tip, because it's really how writers pass along this essential facet of fiction, which is in the particular lay the universal. So this is what they mean. You cannot create a character who mirrors your reader. You can't. We've talked on this show about how basically in the art of show, in the business of show, or in any of the arts, like, let's just talk about movies or plays or books or whatever. There's an adage that who you see on the screen is who you see in the audience. People in the seats are going to be reflective of the people on the stage. So movies about white men are going to find a lot of white men in the audience. Movies about kids, you can have a lot of kids in the audience. Movies about women, you can have a lot of women in the audience. That's just the way it goes. It's called skewing, which means, it's a showbiz term for approaching the right audience, right? But you cannot know who your audience is particularly. You got to find a way to appeal to people, to address them about their lives, even though you don't know what their lives are. One thing in writing, and I hate this one, it's write what you know, they say. Write what you know. And the problem with that is it's not true, really. The true quote should be, write what you know to be true, not write what you know. Because Mario Puzo was never a mafia don, and Peter Benchley never hunted a shark. William Peter Blatty never excised a demon from a girl's body. These men didn't know these things. They knew certain, factoids. I mean, I guess Blatty had a Jesuit background. But they weren't writing from their own experiences. That drastically limits a writer. to the point where they're not even writers anymore. And if every writer only wrote what they knew, every book would be about lonely men or lonely women who sit in rooms all day writing. And no one would read those books. Also in comedy, they say, well, write what you know. Draw on your experiences. Guess what? Nobody cares about you if you're a comic. The last person anybody cares about who's sitting in an audience of a comedy club, the last thing they care about is the comic. They don't care about the comic's girlfriend, about the comic's experiences, about the comic's grandmother or mother-in-law or anything like that. They care about themselves. They care about their mothers-in-law. They care about their girlfriends. They care about their masturbatory experiences, not those of the stand-up comic. So the whole idea of write what you know is misleading. It's write what you know to be true. Because it's the truthfulness which is particular. Really. I mean, or perhaps it's what you know to be true. The truthfulness is the universal. What you know is the particular. Let's approach it that way. So for example, if I'm talking about my mother-in-law, I'm assuming that you have a mother-in-law. And I'm really talking to you about your mother-in-law. See? Now I'm not just saying, I'm not going to go up on the stage and say, oh, people, they suck. I'm going to say, I got a girlfriend. You got a girlfriend? My girlfriend. Bing, bang, boom. And then, as soon as you say, you got a girlfriend? Because my girlfriend, bing, bang, boom. Then the audience is thinking, oh, my girlfriend is the same. Now you're talking to me about my life. Okay? So it's not just people, it's my girlfriend. That's particular. And it's not just my girlfriend, bing, bang, boom. It's my girlfriend turns into a monster 3 days out of the month. It's my girlfriend. She loves to do this. Where do you want to go for dinner? Anywhere is fine. All right, how about the steakhouse? Well, I can't eat meat. All right, how about the seafood joint? Well, that's fine, but I can't eat seafood. Anywhere you want is fine. Where do you want to go? Anywhere is fine. How about Chinese? Well, I'll just have water because I can't eat MSG. All right, how about the Mexican place? That's fine, I'll just eat chips because the food is too spicy. You know, I mean, if you share that with somebody, they might understand because the person they're with might do those same things. So you're, in the very particular, lay the universal. You don't know their girlfriend, but you know the particulars of what they do are kind of universal. But if you don't hit the particulars, then if you're just saying, well, she gripes and groans and pisses and moans, that's not particular. So there's nothing universal about it. Take, for example, Indiana Jones. He's an easy fictive character to reference because he's well known. He's one of the most famous movie characters of the second half of the 20th century for sure. And he's iconic with the hat and the whip. And so the thing is, what else do we know about Indiana Jones? He's afraid of snakes. He's afraid of snakes. He's dropped into it. We know it because we see it. He doesn't just say it. He's dropped into a pit of snakes. He flashes the light. This is in the first movie, as I recall. And he says, oh God, why did it have to be snakes? Because that's the one thing he hates. The one thing he's afraid of. In particular, the one thing he's afraid of. Now, you may not be afraid of snakes. I don't like them. I'm not at all attracted to reptilian things. If I saw a snake, I'd probably, I wouldn't rush up to it, oh, snake. I don't think I'm phobic of snakes, but I don't think I like them. But I am phobic of rats. I don't think I'm phobic, actually, because I lived I was a lodger in a person's house, and that house was infested with rats. And I stayed there, and I didn't pass out when I saw a few of them. But, so I'm not phobic, but I am afraid of them. I'm naturally afraid of a dangerous, perhaps ravenous and rabid, crazed carnivore beast, who wouldn't be afraid of that? I'm not phobic, but I'm afraid of it. I'm not afraid of snakes, but I get it when even Indiana Jones is afraid of something. And I know what that is. It's not just he says, well, I'm afraid of something, everybody is, and walks away, and we don't know what it is. One of the things that endears us to Indiana Jones is that we know this about him. This particular thing about him is that he's afraid of snakes. You know, do you remember the Newlywed Game? You might not. In the 70s, Chuck Barris, I think, created this game show. It was a game show. We used to have game shows on TV when I was young. And one of them was called the Newlywed Game. And the whole idea was, how well do you know your newlywed? You guys just married? How well do you know each other? So here's a question, and each person, what's your spouse's favorite this? What's your spouse's least liked food? What's your spouse's, if you were stuck on a desert island, whose record albums would your spouse have? Things like that. And the idea was, how well do you really know this person? The Newlywed Game is what it was called. And this is, I know I'm sort of veering off track here in a lot of ways, but I'm getting to a point. We don't really know that much about each other or ourselves. But the more we know about them, the more we like them. When the newlywed couple knew all the answers of what the other person would do or say, they won the game. And they had the greatest love, and they were the greatest newlywed couple. So, to know the particulars of a thing is to bring you closer to the universality of it. The universality of the Newlywed Game is that newlyweds love each other because they're a perfect match. And the trick of the Newlywed Game is to show that maybe they're not such a good match. Maybe they don't know each other so well. But those who did know the particular knew the universal. They knew the particular about their spouse, and they also knew the universal love of a match made in heaven. Okay? So, Indiana Jones, we know his particular fear, and that gives him a sort of universal likability. Because he speaks to us of our fear. We all have a fear. We're not all afraid of snakes. That's the particular. But we all have a fear. That's the universal. So in the particular lay the universal. That's the writing thing. And the newlywed aspect of it is really in life. In the particular lay the universal. Well, for example, the particular thing may be common courtesy. It could be a smile on your face. Your smile is different than everybody else's smile. Every smile is particular. But if you smile, someone's apt to smile back at you. And therein lay the universal. Because the connection of strangers to one another through the things they share, that's the universal. Even though the particular may be different smiles. But it's through the particular, it's in the particular, that we find the universal. It's in the particular lay the universal. Not only in fiction, but in our daily lives. And if you're a writer, really keep that in mind. Do something with your character that's particular to that character. And then that will give that character a universal appeal. Because everybody has some particularity. Look at all the great characters, not Indiana Jones necessarily, but all the characters you can think of. They have particularities. Batman, his parents were killed. Superman, he comes from another planet. Dracula, he's a vampire and he likes to drink human blood. These are pretty particular things. You might not be any of those things. But particular to Dracula is he can't be awake during the day. Particular to Superman is he's got his kryptonite can destroy him. Particular to Batman is that he's trapped in a world of isolation. Now, these may seem like drawbacks, but he's also sad. Batman is so sad about losing his parents. He's a very sad man. He should just call himself Sad Man. But knowing these things about these characters are what make them appealing to us. Tarzan was actually a lord by birthright in England. A lord of Greystoke. So knowing that makes him interesting. Just being a savage man of the wild is not that interesting. Well, actually, Jane's a lot more interesting than he is, but another story for another time. So, in the particular lay the universal writers, thinkers, people out there, give that some thought. Whoever said it, thank you for saying it. I've learned a lot from it, and I hope you've learned a lot from hearing me talk about it. I do this every other week here on this very YouTube channel. It alternates with my new show, Fletcher Rhoden's Pet Peeves. Why would you watch that? Because it's fun and funny and misery loves company. In the meantime, you can watch reruns of Quotes and Quips from last year, 2024. They're still up. And my 2023 show, Tracking the Lone Wolf, which is available on its own YouTube channel. There's a link to it on my website. Check out my website, enjoy my music and my books. Tune in again. And until then, bye, Mary.